You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Senator Elizabeth Warren and her office coordinated testimony with the Security and Exchange Commission ahead of a Senate hearing. The Heritage Foundation Oversight Project, of which I'm associated, through a FOIA request, obtained emails from Warren's office to the office of Chairman Gary Gensler 2 days before his Senate testimony back in September of 2021. The email from Warren's economic policy advisor includes a list of questions. Get this, a list of questions that Senator Warren planned to ask, along with suggested answers for the chairman of the SEC. The advisor also wrote, quote, "Let me know if you're okay with the questions as currently written." 2 days later, she sent a follow-up, quote, "Let me know if it's looking like the chair has any issue with the framing of the questions. Definitely don't want to put him in a tough spot," end quote. And it appears the chairman didn't have any issue with these questions because Senator Warren asked almost verbatim from the email. Check this out.
Chair Gensler, advocates say crypto markets are all about financial inclusion, but the people who are most economically vulnerable are the ones who are most likely to have to withdraw their money the fastest when the market drops. Does this sound like the path to financial inclusion to you?
Several years back, what is the greatest rabbit hole that you've gone down since you've been in government?
The greatest rabbit hole.
Like, what's something that you've learned since being in government that you kind of wish, I suppose, when you were...
Didn't know that. Oh, well, one, that it's all fake. You know, that was really a very sad moment for me when I served on the House International Relations Committee, and the particular subcommittee, I think it was Western Hemisphere Subcommittee, was having a hearing, and the chairman of the subcommittee was there. I was on the subcommittee, so I was there. And then the committee or the subcommittee were interviewing, had a panel of witnesses that were being questioned by the subcommittee members. And it looked like it was a normal event. Then, all of a sudden, the chairman of the subcommittee, we sit down, we go through the hearing. The chairman of the subcommittee is fussing at the witness, and the witness is antagonistic toward the chairman of the subcommittee. So there's some friction, there's electricity, there's something happening in the air. After the hearing is over, the chairman backslaps the witness and they walk out together. It was just theater. Didn't mean anything. So that was like the saddest thing for me to realize that it was all just theater. Didn't really mean anything. And that's probably the harshest lesson, but that's the realest lesson.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And we have Fox News playing the Hegelian dialectic with Elizabeth Warren. Yes, she was busted. Or was she? Guys, all of it when it comes to Congress, all of it is scripted. We clearly see the president reading off a teleprompter all the time. And anytime we see someone brought in front of Congress, they're grilled, but nothing happens. Guys, it's all acting. You're watching nothing but a real-life movie. Remember, your life is an illusion, and TV is your reality. Elizabeth Warren's job is to play the Hegelian dialectic, get regulation moved towards the NWO's agenda. Because as we can see in this video, We had Elizabeth Warren saying that she proposed a 15% on tax. But guys, it was already a global agenda in the G7. Remember, when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, they never agree when it comes to do something for the people, but they always agree when it comes to moving the agenda of the NWO. And remember the fourth industrial revolution. The digital transformation is the agenda. And I went over it earlier, guys, about buybacks and Chevron. Remember, these oil companies got record profit. And who's going to benefit from these buybacks, these dividends? The same corporations. And we know BlackRock, Vanguard own everything. And how did buybacks become legal? That's right. They became legal under Ronald Reagan, an actor who became president. And we know he was never the president of the United States. And when Ronald Reagan took president, he thought he was going to be making changes. Had some of the best speeches ever until he got what? The kapow. And everything changed. And that's when the NWO took over and these corporations became bigger and bigger. The salaries of these CEOs got outrageous. And the masses became fake debt slaves. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Also ask why we don't have a minimum tax for corporations. Actually, I've proposed something very much like that. It's called a real corporate profits tax. And it says that the amount of tax that giant corporations have to pay, that is, corporations that made more than $100 million in profits last year, that those corporations should have to pay a tax on what they report, not on what happens after they've done a zillion loopholes and excuses.
Critically, the G7 leaders endorsed a global minimum tax of 15%. Too many corporations have been engaged in what are essentially tax havens, deciding that they would pay considerably less in other environs around the world. But this is going to make sure there's a minimum tax. And I'm going to move on this at home as well. Minimum tax for corporations to pay for the profits they make anywhere in the world. And this agreement is going to help arrest the race to the bottom that's been going on among nations attracting corporate investment at the expense of priorities like protecting our workers and investing in infrastructure.
But that's not what share buybacks
That's
are.
what the company is doing.
Buybacks, no.
Well,
Share buybacks are going into the market and pumping up the price of your shares by sucking back in, by using your own cash, not to invest in business. Look, I'm not the one who started on the idea that this was market manipulation. This was the view of the SEC back in the 1980s. And that was, there is no reason for a company to move into the market and buy anonymously thousands of its own shares for any reason other than to raise the price of its shares. And why do they want to raise the price of their shares? Because executive compensation is tagged to that price, or because they have set
I understand the executive compensation, and I understand executive compensation shouldn't be tied to it. I can understand executive compensation not being tied to earnings per share, because that you could maneuver over a short period of time. But it seems to me that there are times when a company should. Well, it seems to me that there's a very good time for companies to buy back shares when they think the market's undervaluing those shares, and they're better off bringing in and making sure that all the shareholders have a bigger part of the company, and maybe shrinking the number of partners they have out there.
That's what dividends are for. If you think that you have excess cash and don't have a business opportunity, put it out there in dividends. But the purpose of going into the market anonymously, buying up those shares, is to do nothing but inflate your own share price. It just doesn't have another purpose.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leverage to technology, and I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.